Hello and welcome to NONI, Yanga's flagship talk show, where we discuss the topics that you, our viewers at home, are talking about just a little bit louder. I'm Adesope Olajide, aka Shopsy, and today I'll be asking my guests, why shouldn't I be allowed to have more than one wife? So who are my guests? Well, joining me today are artist and actor Moeezy.
What's up, guys?
Author and counselor Amaka Chikambonu, and visual artist Team Ogu. Welcome, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Now, here in the UK, polygamy, having more than one wife is illegal. And if a polygamous marriage is performed, the already married person can be charged with the crime of bigamy. However, back in Nigeria, although polygamous unions aren't recognized under civil law, 12 out of 36 Nigerian states do recognize it and consider it equivalent to a monogamous marriage. But why can't I have more than one wife? I'm less likely to commit adultery, as all my sexual urges will be satisfied. With every bride, I'll widen my social circle and therefore increase my sphere of influence and chances of being successful. Plus, my numerous children will guarantee I'll be well looked after in my old age. True, it will probably be costly and reinforce feelings of inequality between the sexes, but if jealousy, conflict, and competition doesn't break out amongst my wives, then they stand a great chance of forging strong friendships between them and living very happy lives. So come on, panel, tell me your objections, if you have any, to why I can't have more than one wife. Who would like to take this first? Would I go to the gentleman? Moeezy.
I don't think it's right, to be honest with you. I feel like having more than one wife or so, back in the days it was really based on power, power, status and wealth. Yes. Do you understand? Where now, marrying someone is more about love, is more about if you love that person, you know, which I think the key thing in marriage should be. You know, if you decide to now do multiple, one person will definitely suffer.
You're talking about love now, so are you saying it's impossible to be able to love more than one person?
No, I'm saying like it wouldn't be equal. It could definitely not be.
When speaking about equality and you have a lady right next to you, I think most of the time they're perfectly placed to talk about this question. So,
she's ready.
Amaka,
Good to go.
I am ready to go.
What exactly is the issue with me having more than one wife?
Number one, it's absolutely wrong. And I'm a person of faith, so it's just wrong.
Okay.
So that's one. But even then, you're talking about if they can forge strong friendships, you have a strong whatever of having someone to look after you in your old age.
Yes.
That is absolutely not true. Many polygamous homes, in fact, I'd say most, I think I've only heard one person say it was harmonious. It is never harmonious because women, one, were territorial. Yeah. There's all kinds of things. It's going to be bickering amongst the children. It's a known fact that polygamy is an issue. And not just polygamy as in, I like to also talk about the modern evolution of polygamy, which is serial philandering. Which is also part of it. It just doesn't work.
I'd like to take it from the top when you started. You mentioned being a woman of faith.
Yeah.
In faith, some faiths and religions in the Bible in the past, we've seen people within the Bible that had more than one wife.
Absolutely.
And if you look at other faiths, just like being a Muslim, it is widely acceptable within that religion.
I agree with you. And really, in this discussion, what we have to look at is what were the rules of engagement you entered into when you went into that union kind of thing, because one must respect other faiths. But my faith, I'm a Christian, it's not allowed. And you say yes, in the olden days in the Bible, in the Old Testament, people married more than one wife. But I don't want us to get all Christianese here, but this was addressed by Jesus himself in the Bible as to why it was like that in the old time. It was not the way it was meant to be.
Tim, in the United States of America and the state of Utah years ago, I'm talking about hundreds of years ago, it was formally acceptable to have more than one wife. And within a religion, I think it was the Mormon faith at the time, it was also acceptable, including the founder of the faith, had more than one wife. What seems to be the problem now where people are discussing Old Testament and New Testament?
I think you've got to look at it from, things evolve, right? Even as religion, times, religion and people, we evolve, we move. And I think now to have more than one wife in such a nature, in such a time where, first of all, you're going out of the norm, but second of all, we're in times of social media, we're in times of iPhones, we're in times of everything is documented. When, in a time where people could do it and there was a status, you could probably keep things behind closed doors. Now, what are you keeping behind closed doors when there's a WhatsApp group with your whole family? The wives in your family will be messaging each other. Who's with him now? Hey!
Tim, you're talking about social, the social constraints, the picture within the social world right now. Some women are very comfortable being mistresses, and it's in some social arenas, it's acceptable. Let's take France, for instance.
Okay.
But you said mistress.
Yes.
We're not talking about mistress, we're talking about wives.
But I'm even going to
Mistress is someone that you go around the corner and you
hide with. Kind of a side
we're talking about wife.
Yes,
you come into the house.
Although
when you come down for breakfast, she's there.
But
the other
that other mistress who is publicly known,
absolutely,
with
because
friends
that's what
and
I want
family,
to say.
can eventually be legalized.
And even if they're not legalized, same difference. The fact is that there's a mistress who has the privileges of wife, maybe even more privileges than the actual wife. So I include the modern evolution of polygamy, which is being a mistress. And I agree, we must respect other faiths.
Absolutely.
It's just not something I believe in. And it would depend on what are the rules of engagement you entered into with this person. I personally believe that it is a problem. It can't work. You can't love, I don't think you can love two people.
You can't.
The same.
Some of the facts that are out there, for example, is that in Senegal, for example, nearly 47% of the marriages are set to feature multiple women. Plural marriages was permitted by the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints between 1852 and 1890. That's the Mormon faith. If you go into sides of West Africa, including Nigeria, 47% is probably even a little bit lower than what it actually is.
True, but the question is, why can't I have more than one wife?
Yes.
And the answer to that question is, or part of the answer, or the beginning of the answer is, does it work? Predominantly, if you look at it, if you looked at 100 polygamous homes, is it truly a harmonious situation where everybody's growing up in a loving whatever family? I'm not saying there may not be instances like that. Personally, I haven't seen them.
If you're talking about does it work, marriages today is under more scrutiny than it's ever been, because you can argue that does marriage work?
Even a monogamous marriage.
Exactly.
But okay, let's take it a step further then. A monogamous marriage and a polygamous marriage.
Yes.
I don't know the answer to this. Okay, or maybe I do.
Okay.
Which one works better?
How about I put this question to you, Mo? In the past, or some people that argue in support of polygamous marriages being legalized, say it might affect, it might help some women socially, financially. Some women feel more comfortable in being in a relationship that perhaps has other women involved. What would you say to such a woman?
I would say they're confused, to be honest, because it can't work. And to be honest, with it, I think it would cause a lot of confusion within the homes, even within the kids, if they end up having kids. That it would be.
And let's even think about it. So let's just look at the scenario of it working, and no disrespect to any other faith that believes differently, but let's look at the way it works. So everybody's in their own house, or we're all together in the same house. Usually it's all together in the same house. Then say one night is my turn, and the next night is your turn, and the other night is the other person's turn.
There's a routine.
There's
a routine.
I don't know. Does it work?
Yes. Well, if you look, again, unfortunately, I'd have to throw it back to places where people like myself were brought up. In that society, it has worked.
But
most of the kids...
Do you
think it's worked because, not in a rude way, but in places like Nigeria, in the Western world, we're all more on the same level. In Nigeria, there's probably people with more stake. The gap between rich and poor is bigger. So when a man or a woman, let's say, it could be anyone, says, I'll take you and I'll take you, they're probably giving them a better chance of life that they might not get on themselves.
That's what I was saying.
For here, if me goes out and dates one girl and then says I go on a date with another girl and we say let's go together, I don't have enough funds. And they're probably looking at me like, what am I coming with you for?
Exactly.
So we're all on the same level
now,
to be like,
Tim,
hold on.
You've mentioned something that's highly important in this conversation. You don't have enough funds. Now, some people have argued that men in specific statuses that have the financial wherewithal to handle more than one wife could be allowed to do that.
Handle them what, financially?
If you have enough money to marry more than one wife, then maybe that
have
can
enough
be allowed.
money in terms of looking after them, have enough
Yes.
money in terms of paying the dowry,
Yes.
have enough money in terms of
taking care of their essential needs financially. That's
Is that all there is to it?
so. What are
Thank
the
you.
other?
You see,
what- so
and
what
then-
are the
and
other-
then- and then for me, anyway, I just think to myself, why do I want to be second? Why do I want to be
Who's
second?
even
What
sec-
is there
who
in
even
me?
classes yourself as second or
Yeah.
first?
But in the Western society as well, particularly in the United States of America, in the last couple of years, we've seen popular television shows that have followed relationships or marriages, polygamous marriages that are under the radar. I think the Brown family is one of those that they've put on not only on social media but on the media to show to the world how it's working. He's married to a couple of women, and I think he's got 18 kids.
Do you know, you see, all that glitters isn't gold.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that the story isn't true, but
Yes.
what I will say is that nobody knows what's happening behind closed doors.
Yeah.
But as a woman,
Yes.
I can tell you that most women, and honestly, anybody can, come and tell me this is not a fact, but in my own understanding and what I've experienced, even as a marriage counselor, I'm telling you, for a woman, it is very difficult, or it's going to be very hard for a woman to be, he's with this person, so right now I'm lying down in bed, but hey, he's with this other person. It's a difficult thing.
Even for a man, even if you're the head honcho and you're controlling 2 or 3 women, if you're in bed with one and the other one's ill, are you not going to be thinking about her? Or let me go and check. But wait, you're in bed with me. Let me go. You don't want to be thinking.
Okay. I need to stop our discussion there so we can have a short break. But when we come back, I want to turn the tables and ask my panel if they feel the same rules apply when it comes to women having more than one husband. Wow. See you after the break. Welcome back to NONI with me, Adesope Olajide, and my guests, Mo Easy, Amaka Chicken Bonu, and Tim Ogo. So the question we're discussing before the break was, why can't I have more than one wife? And now I want to mix things up a little bit and ask my panel if they can see any benefits in women having more than one spouse, or polyandry as it's called. So what do you think? I'll go to you for this, Amaka.
Well, I'm going to say what is good for the goose is good for the gander. That said, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I don't agree with it at all. However, since the men are so entitled and actually think that they can, it can work to have more than one wife, why can't women have more than one husband? I don't know how that would work, but yeah, why not? Because men have difficulty, and the men are here, you guys tell me, but I think most of you men are gonna have difficulty handling a woman who has more than one husband.
Most of the time, I think multiple marriages or relationships can be about status. So there's one hub who is the spouse, the head of the relationship, who decides to engage in multiple relationships.
So I have an oil block. I have an oil block, and I keep one person in this room and one person in this room.
Yeah, exactly.
And can a man handle that? You see, the African man is very entitled. That's the truth. He's very, very entitled. What he can't handle, what he dishes out.
So now let's talk about relationships in general. Mo, as a young man growing up, is it okay to have multiple girlfriends?
Is it okay?
At the same time?
It's not okay. I wouldn't say it's okay. It's not okay because you're playing with emotions. When it comes to females and it comes to women, you're playing with their emotions, and that wouldn't really be cool.
But apart from now, this is one of the other questions I try to ask is, especially nowadays with the advent of media and television programs like Love Island, people actually agree for you to multiply date a few women at the same time before you make your choice, or if the other woman, secretly admires you so much that she's happy with being the second girlfriend. Tim?
Well, I guess the question is, if you're going along that route, do you need marriage? Because if you want to date, like in this society, married is not, you don't have to get married. It's not the be all end all. You can be together. There's a lot of relationships that are together for a long time, no marriage. So if you want to have that date, and even in the sense of relationship or intimacy, there is that sense of bringing another person in. So if you want to include that in your relationship, I would ask the question, why must you get married? For me, if I'm signing the dotted line...
Marriage is beyond two people agreeing to be in a relationship. There are legal documents and benefits that come with that affect the kids and, you know...
Exactly, and this is what... And I like that you said that affect the kids, because you see, I make no apologies for the fact that I am, let me not even say a person of faith, I'm a Christian. It's a perversion of everything. You see, all these things we're talking about, in my opinion, and according to what I believe, is a perversion of the entire beautiful thing that a union of two people forming a bond that produces other people that can go on to form other secure and stable bonds. It's a perversion of the whole thing. So you find that so many issues are going to arise from a woman, say, having two husbands, from a man having multiple wives or many mistresses. It's a perversion of the whole system. And we're seeing the problems that arise from this every day.
Let's flip that when we're speaking about relationships. Multiple relationships. They're different friends for advice. They're different friends for romantic advice. They're different friends for financial advice. And some people can take this type of example into a romantic relationship. So there's friends with benefits. There's the lover.
Because I want to understand what you mean. They're different people for different things. So what, different people for different sexual escapades or like your...
If that's what some people like.
So that's kind of what some people want.
Some people, nowadays, relationships vary. And people have several relationships for specific things. You have a friend that you go to for relationship advice. You have a friend that I can go to for financial advice.
So let's extend it. So then you have a friend that you go to for different kinds of sexual activity.
But then isn't it? But aren't we? We're saying friends, not partners.
I'm saying relationships. The reason why I put that here is that I'm discussing relationships. Now, relationships can be any form of relationships. But if you take it in the context of men having multiple mistresses or women dealing with multiple men, it's almost the same thing. These guys sometimes have a marriage or a relationship and they have a mistress that they go to that they can go on holiday with.
I think this
just hang around with.
But you see, we must identify first if we're talking about marriage. We have to identify what marriage is.
Please.
Amen.
Because if we identify what marriage is, and this is why some things, okay, let me not even go there, but you know, we have to identify what marriage is, because when we say having multiple people for different things, for having this and for that and for that, if marriage is supposed to be, and marriage is supposed to be, and if people want to change it, fine, but maybe they should call it something else. But marriage is supposed to be a man and a woman I know that's whatever.
Well, exactly.
Coming together.
Exactly.
To form a bond.
Hold on there, Amaka. I would like to stop you exactly where you started that conversation. Because a couple of years ago, I think in 2015, it was legally made possible for same-sex individuals to be legally married.
And that is fine. One must respect other people's beliefs.
So that's what I wanted to say. The day that announcement was made in 2015 in the United States of America, the question was posed to the public. Now, what next is the evolution of marriage? Is that the legalization?
I want to say something. You know, you see, marriage. Okay, let's even leave who it's between. But what the institution of marriage in and of itself, by definition, is an exclusive relationship between two people. I have my views on that, but let's put it that way, respecting other people's views. According to my faith and what I believe, is an exclusive relationship between okay, let's say two people.
Two people.
And there's certain things that come into play when that happens. It cannot be that I have a friend for this, and I have one for this, and I have one for that.
Really
it can't really be.
But
if you want to call it something else, where you're doing something else, where you have this, you have that, But marriage is actually, by definition, supposed to encompass all of this.
One of the difficult things in adding faith to the definition of marriage and the legality of marriage is the fact that once evolution starts, which we saw with two people of same sex coming together, it eventually could evolve to any individual deciding to get married to anything in the world that they decide.
So I agree with you. However, marriage as it stands, and from where I believe it originated from, there are certain things it should be and certain things it shouldn't be. So you can't have somebody for this and somebody for that and somebody for this. according to that definition of marriage. And I guess I'm free to believe what I believe.
10 years ago, Mo, 10 years ago, it was not feasible to see that two people of the same sex were going to be allowed to get married. Evolution took place and it was legalized. Are we going to see another evolution in terms of the union of marriage in the future?
I think we'll probably have to wait and see for that.
I think it will happen.
But really and truly, I think marriage is a commitment, isn't it?
If you waiting and seeing, it never happens.
I mean, where we are now,
yes,
right? 10 years ago, we didn't see where we are now.
Exactly.
So it's a waiting process, and things keep evolving. And we don't know what the future the future is going to give us, you know. But we can deal with now.
Yep.
If you want to jump in all 3 cups, then have no commitment.
So what I wanted to ask you, particularly because we've seen the evolution in the last 10 years, and possibly the evolution that will come in the next couple of years, do you see that time when such a relationship will be made legal?
I mean, I can't really say I see that. I see it getting a bit crazy, if I could use that word.
In what way?
In a way where we might not accept, like right now, there's so many principles and so many things that are going on that, like you're saying now, okay, I want to have, is it okay for 2 guys and 1 woman to marry? You know, we don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. Do you understand? So them putting that into play now, we never know what.
Belief doesn't come into play.
I think the definition of marriage will change.
Yeah.
I think there'll be, I don't know, but I can't, just how like the language lexicon grows and improves and changes year by year. The Oxford Dictionary gets wider and wider.
Absolutely.
Our definition of marriage will change. So maybe there'll be a new word. I don't know what they'll call it. I don't know what it'll be. But for me, I think the core essence of marriage will always be the same. It will be 2 people coming together. But if that does improve or change, then I think new words will come into play and new maybe terms will come into play. But I agree with Emeko's point that it is 2 people coming together, and the friends for different things. I still go back to the point of, if you're looking for friends of different things, what are you really looking for? If you're looking at someone and you make a mind decision to say, this person is a person I want to bond with,
I'm going to pick you up on a point you said earlier on. Based on the community and the society we're living in today, having a polygamous relationship sounds ludicrous. However, let's flip the script. If the society was, let's say, Senegal now, where half the population is in a polygamous marriage, if the society was that way and it was acceptable and it was seen as normal, would you feel the same way?
Yeah, I would feel the same way. Let me say, I do believe that we are going to get to a place where marriage, maybe the definition of it and what it involves is going to change. We're definitely going to get there. However, that does not change what the original meaning was. And everybody has to think about and decide for themselves what marriage means to them. So anybody can decide to call whatever they're doing anything they want. Just as it's my prerogative to believe what I want to believe and to decide what I want to decide. Even if they legalize whatever it is they want to legalize today, maybe marriage between me and the couple or whatever, you know, so be it. But it does not change the core belief that I have about it.
Can I ask you a question? How would you think, if this program, as we are right now, is being watched in Senegal, how do you think it will come across to the people there?
I'd probably come across to the people as having some kind of, what do they call these things?
Like narrow-mindedness
or whatever. But so be it. Just the fact that so many people agree that something is right, or so many people agree, doesn't mean I have to agree, and it doesn't make it right.
I mean, it's a bond, it's commitment, it's a principle that will not change.
And I'd also like to throw into this another fact. In 2017, 3 young men in Colombia, I think in Cuba, registered in a multi-person union.
And that is their prerogative.
Fair enough, man.
I don't think any less of them for it. You understand? It's their prerogative, just as it's mine to believe what I believe. And we're asking, is why can't I marry? Well, of course, anybody can do what they want to do. What do you believe in?
I think the big thing
Finally,
is, I think the big thing is, we're not saying that people shouldn't or anything like that. It is just about, you know, from our stances, that marriage is a bond. But that's not to say we're not open to beliefs and different systems and different ways of working. We respect what other people, and that's why I think it will evolve, it will change, and the language will change. But I just think, in my head, marriage is a bond, and I think that if 2 people are coming together,
I mean,
Fantastic.
should be asked.
Commitment is a big thing.
Sadly, we'll have to leave it there. Commitment could be a big thing between 1, 2, or perhaps 3 people. Anyway, that's it from me, Adesope Olajide, and my fantastic guests, Moeezy, Amaka Chikambonu, and Tim Ogu. Well, thank you for joining me, and don't forget, every episode of NONI, past and present, is online at yangatv.com. So wherever you are in the world, you can see this show and other great content from Yanga. Join us again soon for more entertaining chat. Until then, goodbye.